Greetings and welcome to Transit Ministries and specifically to our series Overcoming Sin. This is the first part out of 10 of this series, and today we talk about temptation and sin. For indeed it is almost impossible to talk about sinlessness without talking about ability to identify temptation. So what's the relationship between temptation and sin? Let's define temptation in a very simple way. Temptation is an invitation for you to sin. That is the relationship. An invitation for you to sin is a temptation. When you accept that invitation, you have committed the sin. When you reject that invitation, you have overcome the temptation to sin. So this is very, very important for us to understand, because it is right at the center of our ability to conduct ourselves in a way that pleases God. And we can only do that when we overcome temptation. Now, let's see where this takes us. Remember that each and every one of us receives invitations to do many different things, and yet we don't always accept those invitations. Let's look at how this happened when Jesus was tempted. Jesus was tempted first to turn stones to bread. That was an invitation for him to provide for himself, as opposed to allowing God to give him the daily bread. So obviously he was being tempted to do something for himself. Second temptation was for him to also tempt God by getting God to do what Jesus wanted at Jesus' prompting. Throw yourself off this high place and God will ensure that his angels catch you. So in other words, just because God has promised, do whatever you want, because God will do it. And a lot of us do that by saying, God says he will forgive us, so we can go ahead and sin. So we practice deliberate personal confession as a way of saying we'll keep sinning and coming back because God promised. And the third temptation, Jesus was also asked to worship the devil, to bow down before the devil, which is worshiping other gods. So temptation is nothing but an invitation. We need to understand that. Now, can you stop someone from inviting you? No, you can't. You can't stop someone from inviting you. What can you do though? You have the power of choice to say no to this invitation and to say yes to that invitation. Why? Because we don't have all the time in the world, we don't have all the resources in the world, so we need to prioritize, and therefore we can accept and reject based on a certain criteria. That set of criteria that we're using is what determines which specific criterion we use to accept or reject a particular invitation. So there you have it, and stay tuned for the second installment of this series. God bless you.